People ask me what my chosen form of birth control is. I tell them men's personalities. I'm kidding. I'm not kidding. Hello starlets, I'm Sarah from Everyday Starlet. Welcome to my channel. We're inspiring women to connect to their femininity and be the star of their own life. So if you want to be an everyday starlet, be sure you hit that subscribe button. Today we're talking about coming off hormonal birth control. Now, in case any of you were under the assumption that I was some kind of a medical professional, I am not. I am going to share with you my experience, you know, some things that I've learned in my own research and things, but obviously don't take anything that I say as medical advice. I posted on my Instagram that I was actually going to be going off hormonal birth control, and I asked if, you know, you guys would like to hear about my experience, and I got so many people that said that they really wanted to know more about my experience and how it worked and learn more about the subject, so I decided to film this video. I also asked for your questions, and I got some amazing questions from people, so hopefully I can make this video into something that will be really informative for you and will be really helpful for you if you are planning on coming off hormonal birth control, or if you know, are thinking about it, or, you know, even thinking about going on it. Like, I just hope that this can be a nice resource for you to hear about somebody's experience and, you know, maybe take something away that can apply to your own life. I realize this video is probably going to be kind of long and kind of rambly because I can talk. I know some people love that, some people hate that. So what I've decided to do is I'm actually going to timestamp some of the topics in the description box below if there's like one thing that you really want to know about. I urge you to watch the whole video because not only does it help me, and it helps in the video rank better so more people will see it, so it can help out more people, but also I just feel like the video as a whole is going to probably give you more information than just little bits and pieces of it. However, if you really feel like you only want to know about one thing, hopefully the timestamps will help. Also, if you watch this video all the way through but then you want to go back and rewatch a certain section because you felt like you wanted to learn more or you didn't remember what I said about something, the timestamps are there so you can go back and watch. So hopefully those will be helpful. So if you guys want to know more about my experience transitioning off hormonal birth control, then just keep watching. So first I want to start out with how I started on hormonal birth control. It was a very long time ago in a land far, far away. Actually, it was the land that I'm in right now, but it was about, like, I want to say it was about 20 years ago. I don't remember if I was 18 or 19. God, I'm aging myself. I'm 40, in case any of you are curious. I'm 40 on YouTube. God, every time I say that, I feel like everybody's just like, oh my God, are you a grandmother? But yeah, no, I was probably about 18 or 19 when I went on. And again, things are a little fuzzy from being that long ago. But the primary reason I went on the pill, which is what I was on, and back then there were a few other options that were coming about, but nowhere near as many options as they obviously are today. That was like 20 years ago. But the pill was kind of the most common one that they were putting young girls very frequently on back in that day. And to be honest, the main reason I went on the pill was because I actually had very painful periods. Like, I would take, you know, pain relievers. They didn't really do much. They would help, but they wouldn't really make me so that I could function. Like, I was still in pain. I wasn't super irregular. I wasn't super regular, but I wasn't completely irregular. But, you know, I was definitely in a lot of pain, and, you know, my doctor was like, well, it's probably a good option for you. I went on, and to be honest, I feel like in the medical community, even still today, they kind of almost convince you that there are health benefits to being on hormonal birth control. And I do want to take this time to just say, like, I am not against you know, pharmaceutical or you know, Western medicine or anything like that. Like, I'm not anti that. I do really believe in holistic medicine more than I ever did probably back then. But I don't believe that they are like that, like pharmaceuticals are bad and holistic is good or anything. I believe that they both can be good or bad depending on the people. My own personal belief, and you know, you can take what you want, leave the rest, however you want to do this, but my own personal belief is that if, like, Eastern and Western medicine worked together, we probably could help a whole lot more people. But that's my own personal belief. I'm not anti-pharmaceuticals. I do believe in holistic medicine, but I'm not like exclusively that. So this is no shame on the medical community. I would never tell people to like not see a doctor or not listen to your doctor or anything. But I do very, very, very much believe that people need to be advocates for their own health and not just blindly listen to anybody, whether it be like a regular doctor or whether it be a holistic practitioner. To just blindly listen to anybody is not a good thing. I think you need to listen to your gut. But at the time, I was, you know, a young girl and just becoming a woman. What is it Britney Spears says? Not a girl, not yet a woman. I don't know, whatever. Anyway, that song was really big back then. That's how old I am. So I went on the pill, and I didn't personally have a ton of side effects. And part of the thing is I've been on the pill for 20 years. I switched pills briefly maybe about 10 years ago, so about halfway into my journey. The original pill that I was on, which again, I totally am not super knowledgeable about the different types of pills, but I was on one that went in phases. Your hormones, like the hormones in the pills, like they changed throughout your cycle, so they kind of adjusted. They weren't just like a straight through one hormone type pill. Again, I'm not a doctor, so I don't know the medical terms, but I transitioned. The brand of pill that I was on originally got discontinued about 10 years into using it. And it was around that time that there were a lot of advertisements and commercials for certain types of pills, which I won't mention, but like if those of you that are probably like around my age or even a little bit younger or a little bit older may remember, there were a lot of commercials for certain birth control pills saying that they would cure your acne and they would clear up your skin. And I had a lot of skin issues, which may or may not have been because of the pill. I don't know. But I was having a lot of really bad skin issues, and I was convinced that if I was going to switch to a different pill, because I had to, because my old one was discontinued, that I wanted to go on the one that the commercials told me would clear up my skin. Right. Don't make medical decisions just based on commercials, okay? But I was young, I was naive. My doctor didn't really think it was a good idea. She didn't really want me to switch to that particular pill, but I pushed it. She said okay, and you know, that was what it was. I didn't have a very good reaction to that particular pill. A lot of emotional issues, a lot of skin issues, which could potentially have been the switch. You know, obviously anytime you switch something like that, you're gonna get a lot of issues, but it was a lot more than I had when I originally went on the pill. And my doctor basically was like, I don't think this is the pill for you. And she ended up putting me on a different pill, which was similar to the one that I had been on originally, which went in phases. And that one, at least on the surface, worked a lot better for me. Now, when it comes to side effects, it's interesting. When I mentioned on social media that I was gonna go off the pill, and if anyone had any questions or anything, and I brought up the subject on my social media, I actually got a lot of women who reached out to me about some pretty big horror stories that they've had, some of their friends have had, with experiences on the pill or other forms of birth control that have gone really, really wrong. So I do want to state, and there were several people who are like, we really want you to make sure that you state when you talk about this that not everybody can go on these things, okay, whether it be the pill or whether it be other things. So I do want to make it very clear to everybody, especially the women watching, especially if you are young and you're watching this, just keep in mind that not every form of birth control, not every form of hormonal birth control, of anything, nothing is guaranteed. For one thing, nothing is 100% foolproof. Nothing is 100% this may not be the politically correct thing for me to say, but the only way to 100% ensure that you will not get pregnant is to not engage in, and I want to try to not get demonetized, but not engage in the activity that makes you pregnant. And if you are not old enough to know what that activity is, you probably shouldn't be watching this video. That said, Also, not every, you know, every woman's body is different. And every woman's body is going to react to things differently. So there are definitely situations where some things just won't work for you. And there are some people who just cannot be on the pill. They just cannot be on hormonal birth control. And I want to take this moment to state, and I feel like I kind of already said it a little bit, but it's just so important to listen to your body. And if your body is telling you that something is wrong, listen to it. Even if you have, you know, people who are professionals that are like, no, you know, you're fine, or it's no big deal, or this isn't a big deal. Like, if your body is telling you there is something wrong, listen to it. You know, a lot of people shared stories that they had side effects that their doctor kept saying was not a side effect of the pill. They went off the pill and that particular side effect went away and they never had that problem again. I actually knew someone, and you know, many years ago, I knew someone personally who just, I mean, she just could not be on the pill. I remember literally, like, she would take the pill and then it was like literally exactly an hour after she would take it, she would have a complete mental breakdown. Like it was like clockwork. Like, you knew exactly 1 hour after she took the pill, she was gonna have a complete emotional breakdown and just completely lose her mind. I'm lucky that I didn't have anything that specific. However, part of the problem that I have with explaining side effects that I had on the pill, or possible side effects that I had on the pill, is that I was on it for 20 years. And so it's hard to know if some of the things that I've experienced in that time, you know, if I really want to be scientific about it, if some of the things that I've experienced in that time were the results of the pill, or if they were results of just me at that point in my life, or other dietary issues or other things like that. So it's really hard for me to sit here and say like, oh, this was a side effect of the pill, or this happened to me and so this must have been because of the pill, because I was on it for so long that it's really hard to link up whether or not that was specifically because of the pill or whether it wasn't because of the pill. I'm actually going to mention at the end of the video some of the things that I have noticed that have changed since going off the pill, but some of the things that I did experience while on the pill, you know, my skin went up and down with being good and not being good. I have 100%, and I've mentioned this in probably like every video where I have ever mentioned my skin, cutting soy from my diet 100% changed my skin, like just changed my life. And it's very difficult to do. It's challenging to do because soy, especially here in America, is hidden in everything. But if you do have skin issues, I would, even if you don't, like, personally, I'm a big advocate of cutting out soy. And I think if we all did it, companies wouldn't be able to use soy anymore as like a cheap filler in things. And I think we'd all be a lot healthier. Welcome to my TED Talk. But yeah, I'm extremely anti-soy. Cutting out soy was a huge factor. So I don't necessarily know if I can say that it was specifically the pill that was affecting my skin as much, because I definitely discovered soy was a big problem, and you know, that might have been more of an issue because the problem with soy is soy affects your hormones, so it causes acne, like usually around your chin and your neck and sometimes your chest area, because this is like acne you get from like hormone issues. That may have been aggravated because I was on the pill, maybe it wasn't, I don't know that. You know, it was while I was on the pill that I started getting really severe panic attacks, and I managed to also get those panic attacks under control. So it's hard to know. I do know that my really severe panic attacks started around the time after I transitioned, after I had that kind of like little flip between like having to switch the pill. So about like 10 years in, I switched to a different pill and then switched to another one. It was not too long after that that I also started getting my really severe panic attacks. I've also managed to get them under control while on the pill, the same pill that I was on for like the last 10 years of my time. So I don't want to say that those were necessarily the thing, and there were a lot of other factors in my life that were going on around the time that I started getting panic attacks, I was having some other health issues that I don't believe were pill related, and just a lot of like personal issues and things like that in my life. So I don't want to like jump the gun and say that those were consequences of being on the pill. But timing wise, it's not impossible that they were connected, but you know, there could be other factors as well. So now I wanted to explain why I decided to go off the pill. I think for one, I think as women, our body just knows. I think I was getting a lot of, and whether you think this is woo-woo or whether or you don't, I don't know, but it just started to feel like there were a lot of signs that were coming to me saying that it was time. You know, for those of you that have been following me, if you're new to my channel, welcome, but if you've been following me for a little while, you know the past few years have been a kind of a whirlwind with stuff that I've been going through, and I, you know, have been kind of on this personal development journey, and I have actually come across some amazing people. I've worked with some amazing people, and just been on this kind of like quest to like learn more about myself and my body and my femininity and all kinds of stuff. And I started learning more about women who did cycle syncing, which is kind of like psyching up your menstrual cycle to the moon. And I started really learning more about the menstrual cycle, and it kind of hit me that I had spent pretty much my entire adult life not really having a menstrual cycle. Like I did, but I didn't. It was kind of like I wasn't ovulating basically, because when you're on the pill, like you appear to have a cycle and it appears like that, but you're not actually ovulating and things like that. So I kind of got really curious about the idea of actually having a real menstrual cycle, because I just sort of felt like I wanted to connect more to my femininity, being a woman, and you know, tap more. I have a pretty strong intuition naturally, and I did even when I was on the pill, but I just felt like I could tap into that more if I went off the pill. So it started to feel right. On another personal level, you know, I recently went through a divorce, and Anne turned 40 pretty much at the same time. I've always wanted to be a mom. I don't want to get, I was not going to cry in this video. I've always wanted to be a mom. And, but I also, and again, no judgment to people who do things differently. This is just my own personal feeling, that I really didn't want to be a mom unless I was doing it with a partner, with a, you know, with a husband, ideally. And you know, I didn't have anyone, I don't have anyone in my life right now that I would want to have a child with. But, you know, I was learning more about the law of attraction, about manifesting your dreams, and there was a part of me that started to feel like, you know, I've read a lot of things about the idea that, for one, when you change your hormones, you know, being on hormonal birth control, you don't necessarily, like, you're not necessarily as attracted on a primal level to a man who, you know, is going to be attracted. Like there's a primal like fertility kind of a draw kind of thing, you know, whatever. Like this is probably getting way more than people really want to know about, but I just kind of felt like, in a sense, I would be more likely to attract someone who, you know, was a man who wanted a family, who wanted to have a family with me, who I felt drawn to and wanted to have a family with, if my hormones were working the way that nature intended them to work. And I think there was also a sense of like, if you build it, you will come. That sounds so bad, but like, you know, it's I mean, not that I'm gonna go around like sleeping with everybody and trying to get pregnant. Like that's not my goal at all. I want to make that very clear. There was something to the idea of like, if I want this, like if I want a family, then, you know, putting my body in a state where that is a possibility, you know, and hopefully, God willing, at you know, 40 years old or however old I am when the right person comes into my life. I just felt like I wanted my body to be ready for it. And I wouldn't then have to decide, okay, now I'm gonna go off the pill. Now I need to get my hormones fixed. Like, and I didn't know how easy this transition was gonna be. So I wanted to, especially now, being 2020, being in a pandemic, and you know, essentially being almost the time and everything, I was just like, you know, maybe now is the time to like just let my body try to adjust and you know, let my body kind of go through what it needs to go through. And if it gets ugly, then nobody has to see me. And you know, the timing felt right, and it just felt like everything kept you know, coming into place, and the signs were all there, and it just felt like the right time for me. Whether or not it's the right time for you, that's totally your decision, and I can't make that decision for you. Your doctor can't make that decision for you. Your partner can't make that decision for you. You have to make that decision for you. So now we'll get into how I transitioned. That means something totally different nowadays, doesn't it? How I transitioned off hormonal birth control. There we go. I came across in my, you know, study of you know, women's health and personal development, I came across the coach Monica Yates, and I've actually worked with her on several of her programs, but she's actually like a period specialist, and she has a program. It's a self-study program. She has some where she works with you one-on-one. I've done some of those. If you guys want to know more about like my reviews of some of her programs or things like that, like let me know, because I think she's amazing. But she has a program that is self-study that is helping women transition off of hormonal birth control. I don't remember the price off the top of my head, but it wasn't super, like, it wasn't a ridiculous amount of money or anything like that. It was a pretty reasonable price. Some of her programs do get pricey, and I 100% think that everything I've invested in her programs has been completely worth it. But I believe that coming off hormonal birth control, it's like a video and an ebook. I will link the program in the description box below if you guys want to check it out, and if you want to check out, you know, Monica and any of her programs, because I think she's amazing. I'm not going to obviously give you details about exactly what you do on her program, because you have to buy her program. I get nothing, like I'm not getting any kickback or anything for promoting it. This is just literally what I used, and I loved it. So really the gist of it is to kind of get your body into a really healthy state and to eliminate as much inflammation in the body as possible. Obviously your body's going to transition anything better if it's in a healthy state. So I finished, and this is where it kind of gets tricky because like I'm crazy. I finished my last pill pack, and I actually did the sugar supplements at the end and started counting it from there, and then I was like, well, that's kind of ridiculous because technically those are just placebo pills. So I started counting the weeks, and then I was like, well, it's really an extra week because whatever, it's girl math. It's whatever it is. The first time you have your period, you have a bleed, it's really just like a release. It's not your actual menstrual cycle. 2 to 3 weeks, depending on when you actually consider the last time I took the pill was. 2 to 3 weeks after I stopped, I got my first like bleed release. I didn't have like really extreme I didn't have a lot of cramping. I wasn't, so like it went pretty smoothly considering. And it was interesting. I constantly reminded myself that going into this, I had to, because like I panic at medical stuff. Like medical stuff and me does not, like I panic at like health stuff, which is one of the reasons why I take such good care of myself. And I just had to keep reminding myself, you know, that I had to accept the fact that my body was going to go through changes, and I just have to, like, it was getting in that mindset, which was difficult, but I got through it. And so that happened, and I knew that after having that initial release, which very frequently happens within the first month of going off, it can take, you know, 3-6 months, a year, for a lot of women to get their periods back again. So I was kind of like, you know what, I just got to see what happens and sort of let it go. And then I think I figured it was 5 to 6 weeks after I stopped. So like 3 weeks after I had the initial bleed release, 5 to 6 weeks after I stopped the pill, I got my first period, my first official period on my menstrual cycle. I was so excited. I've never been so excited for my period before. I was literally like, oh my God. And it was really crazy because it was literally the day after the new moon, like the last new moon that happened. Which, if those of you that like know anything about cycle syncing, that like women's periods used to, like in a lot of like more like primal cultures in our society now, or even like back in the day when, you know, all societies were just more like primal, women tend to bleed on the new moon and ovulate on the full moon. And I bled on the last new moon, and I'm still learning whether or not I'm like how to know when I'm ovulating and stuff, but I do think that I ovulated on the full moon. This is getting like super personal, but so it's been in total about 2 months that I've been off the pill. And again, it can take, you know, 3 months or longer to completely regulate. So I can do another update on this if you guys want more information later on. I just really wanted to get this video up and out there because, you know, I told myself I was gonna wait until I had at least had like got my actual like menstrual cycle back. So so that's happened, so I wanted to film this for you to talk about this, but I can do another update later on with like how I'm doing in, you know, a few months or whatever. Make sure you thumbs up and leave a comment. Let me know if you want that. So now I want to get into some of the questions that you guys asked me. You guys asked me some amazing questions that I know are, you know, hopefully I can answer them and be helpful for you, but I know that they're going to be helpful to a lot of other women who maybe were afraid to ask or maybe just discovering this video now. So somebody asked, how do you know when it's the right time to go off hormonal birth control? And, you know, I mentioned earlier, obviously, why I made the decision. I'm a complete 100% advocate of, you know, as women, we have this gift of our bodies talk to us. Our bodies tell us what they want. And I think with a lot of the stresses in the world and a lot of the things going on, and I think a lot of us are, you know, kind of like in our, you know, we've got like our masculine shields up, and we're, you know, we're gonna power through, and we're gonna be like men, and we're gonna, you know, and you know, that can be a great thing. You know, you can be in like your I'm a huntress and I'm gonna, you know, whatever, but you know, every woman has within them the ability to listen to their intuition and know what to do. And I think a lot of times if we just tune out like the judgment, we tune out the, you know, like the guy who's like, I don't want you to get pregnant and I don't want to use condoms, so you need to go on this, or, you know, tune out the like the judgment that we've had from like, you know, religious beliefs, or, you know, sex education that may not have been, maybe you had good sex education, I don't know, maybe you didn't, probably more likely you didn't, but you know, whatever. You know, it's, I think you know the answer to whether or not it's the right time. Maybe it's not the right time for you to go off of it. You know, maybe right now just is not the right time for you and you just can't handle it. I think the thing for me that was the overpowering answer, and it's kind of the way I've been judging several things in my life lately, because I do tend to deal with anxiety a lot, and things tend to freak me out a lot. But I tend to ask myself, is my excitement about doing this stronger than my fear? Like, I was terrified of going off the pill. I mean, I was on it for 20 years. I had no idea what my body was gonna do. I had no idea how my body was gonna react. As afraid as I was, and as nervous as I was, and as scared as I was, my excitement about, you know, tuning more into my body, about, you know, possibly, you know, syncing my cycle up with the moon and really getting in touch with, you know, some of the amazing, you know, creativity that can come with a woman's natural cycle and things. I just, the excitement of that overcame my fear. So that was how I decided. How you decide needs to be 100% a personal decision. So another amazing question that I got, and I got this from a woman, so it's not creepy, so I'll just say this, but the question was, if I did get into a new sexual relationship, would I go back on the pill? And it's an interesting question, and I do 100%, like I said before, I think as women, you need to listen to your body and you need to decide what's right for you. I most likely would not, at least as of right now. It's not completely out of the question, but it's probably not something that I would do because I've done so much work to transition off and because things are going really well for me right now. So, you know, I would feel like that would be going backwards. And I also was never really on the pill specifically like for preventing pregnancy. Like it was to prevent pregnancy. Like it did prevent it to a certain extent, you know, because I didn't get pregnant. But like I've gone very long stretches of time in the last 20 years with like not being sexually active, you know, by choice. And you know, I still stayed on the pill. It was, in my mind, it's always been for regulation and because I was convinced that I needed it to stop like painful periods and things like that, which I'll get into more details about that in a minute. So like it was never really like I'm just on this to be like to prevent pregnancy. Preventing pregnancy was sometimes a nice, you know, side effect of it. But that was never the reason I was on it. So I feel like I probably wouldn't go back on it just for that purpose. As far as preventing pregnancy, I do know that Monica Yates, who I've mentioned before, she, again, because she's like a period specialist, she has like some podcasts, which I haven't really listened to specifically, but it's about like, you know, how to not get pregnant if you're off the pill or whatever. She has like a lot of podcasts about that subject, which probably if I, you know, was gonna get back into the swing of things. I'm not a swinger. It's not what I meant, no. Wow, this got weird. Like I probably would pay more attention to that and like listening to my body and you know, that kind of thing. I haven't really planned that part out 100%, but so like again, if that is a concern for you, you know, it's something to look into. If you're like promiscuously, again, no judgment, but like promiscuously active with new people, I don't think just being on the pill is the only option. I think you should be using condoms, and because there's so many other things that you should be protecting yourself from. I think everybody's got to do what's right for them. I would urge you though, like if you are sexually active with people who you're not exclusive with or whatever, like just being on hormonal birth control is not the 100% answer. Like you have to protect your body, and a huge part of, you know, loving your body and, you know, is protecting your body and keeping it safe and not just allowing just anybody to just, you know, because sex is an exchange of energy, and you want to make sure that you're with someone who is good for your energy as much as, you know, that's a whole other that's a whole other discussion. We're not going to get into that right now, but I hope that answered the question. So I had some people ask some general questions that basically were about like were there physical changes, weight gain, emotional changes, things like that. So I'll give you a little summary of sort of how I'm feeling and like wrap this up with that. As far as physical changes, it's been kind of interesting to observe. I have to admit, when I first started researching this, I heard a lot of people that said that they went off the pill and then lost 10 pounds immediately, and I was like, yes. Like, I was psyched. That didn't happen. So as far as weight, my weight has gone up a little bit, not since going off the pill, but I had actually gone into this like really, really intense, like I was working out like hardcore, really like not restrictive diet, because I've dealt with a lot of, you know, food issues in the past and whatever, but I was just being super careful. I was, you know, really tracking my macros. Like last December, which is right before before December, but like last December I turned 40, so I had this whole like goal body that I wanted to have at 40, and I came pretty close to what I wanted to do and reached my goals and was pretty proud of myself, and I don't regret that at all. But it definitely like overtook my life for a while. So after that, just, you know, my life took a few different turns, and And then of course the pandemic made everybody's life take a big turn, and like I've still worked out throughout the whole pandemic. I still am pretty good about what I eat. I've just been less strict about you know, calorie counting and macro counting and stuff during the pandemic. You know, I've also been allowing myself a little bit more comfort foods and things, because I think we all just sort of need that this year. Even though my workouts have always been from home, so I didn't really have to change up my workouts. I've been on this kind of like rediscovering my femininity journey, and also coming off hormonal birth control, not wanting to mess with my hormones. I've been doing more workouts that are a little bit more gentle on my body. I am not lifting heavy like I had been previously, and this is not my way of saying that I don't believe that women should lift heavy, because, you know, more power to you. Like I say, you do the workout that works for you. I was just starting to feel like doing a lot of like really heavy lifting and stuff was just, it was harder on my joints, it was hard on my body, and I just kind of wanted to you know, this year with everything going on, I just wanted to be a little bit more gentle with my body. So I had changed my workouts and I changed my diet a little bit. So when I got on the scale, just after I went off the pill, I had put on a little bit of weight. Nothing crazy, you know, not like anything that I'm just sort of like, oh my God, my weight's out of control. It was just a little bit higher number than what I was hoping it was gonna be. And then I kind of started weighing myself once a week for the first month, maybe I would say, after going off the pill, and my weight stayed pretty consistent. But I kind of stopped doing that because it just didn't feel good to be getting on the scale. And to be honest, I think my scale's broken, and not in like a, like I didn't like the number, so I think it's broken. It's like literally not working right. Like it used to tell me my body fat content, and now it doesn't do that anymore. It just like shows like a weight number and then like shuts itself off. So I do actually think it's broken, just because I think it's not working properly. So I was really just using the scale as like a scientific, like, okay, this is the number, and is it going up or is it going down? And it kind of stayed pretty similar for like the first month, and then I just kind of let it go. It is interesting. I do feel like my body has been changing a little bit, not necessarily with weight, but just it's hard to explain. It feels different. And when I look at myself in the mirror, even though my body is not in the same place that I wanted it to be in, or that I ideally would love it to be in, I've stopped judging it so much. And I do know I've been doing a lot of work on my mindset and self-love and a lot of different things, so that may not be completely pill related. It's just, there has been a mindset shift as far as looking at my body, and I've been less judgmental, which may or may not be a side effect of the pill. But yeah, I've been feeling pretty good. Like I don't think that my body is ultimately, like, I don't have like my dream body. I love my body. I'm grateful it keeps me healthy. Would still, you know, love certain things to change. But yeah, it really hasn't been a huge difference as far as like physical changes. My skin has been good. I've had a couple breakouts here or there, likely hormonal, because they've been like neck and chin, but like, again, nothing excessive. Emotional changes have been interesting. It's weird, like almost, I would say the first couple weeks even going off the pill, I had a little bit of like a Wizard of Oz, like when you step out of the black and white and everything's in color. Like I had this kind of like, I don't know, like it's, okay. This is gonna get really personal. Okay, just gonna say. I have never had much of a sex drive at all. Like I just, like, I even think, and oh, I've never actually even said this out loud, but I even was starting to think that I might actually be like asexual, because like I just had no sex drive, like at all. Like I could see like an attractive man and be like, yeah, he's an attractive man, but like not care. Like like no interest, like no desire, no anything. I'm not attracted to women either. I mean, again, no judgment if you are. Like I think women can be beautiful and I can appreciate women's bodies, but like I'm not like attracted to women in that sense. But like I just like no desire like at all. Like just didn't. And a part of it is I've been doing a lot of work on, you know, connecting to my femininity and stuff like that and whatever. So I've been doing a lot of mindset work that could also be the reason why I'm feeling this way. But like I literally started feeling something. Like, you know what I mean? Like it was like, you know, I guess I just always thought, because, you know, I was on the pill for so long that I'm like, this is just how I am. Like I'm just not interested in that at all. And after coming off the pill, I'm like, I really think that was part of what was killing my sex drive, like completely. Like I just am much more like, ooh, he's hot. Like, I mean, I'm not gonna like start posting like thirsty comments or something like that on people's social media. Like I'm not desperate for it or anything, but like I'm definitely feeling something. Now with that, I do feel like as far as emotional stuff is going, it's interesting. I was noticing I've been feeling good, and I really do think my anxiety's been good, although I've been doing a lot of like meditation. I've been doing a lot of other mindset work in addition to this. So again, it's kind of like the fact that I was on the pill for 20 years. It's hard to know like what was pill related and what wasn't. And so like now that I'm feeling the way I'm feeling, like I've been doing a lot of other like work on myself. So it's hard to know like what is specifically me coming off the pill. I do believe the sex drive thing is probably 100%. Maybe not 100%, but it's a huge part, I think, coming off the pill. I also do feel like, it's funny, my anxiety and stuff, like I don't feel, like I've had a few like some emotional moments and stuff, but I don't feel like when I have these emotions, I feel like for a long time I felt like, oh my God, if I start getting really emotional, like I'm gonna fall into like a depression, and it's like I'm gonna get suicidal, and I'm gonna like I used to feel like afraid to let myself get emotional because I was afraid that it would just it would sink too deep and I wouldn't be able to get out of it. And I've been kind of in a place now where like I'm like, oh, like yesterday I just like cried all day. Like I was just an emotional mess. But like I could get out of it. Like I was, you know, I was like, okay, I allowed myself to release that and I can move on, and I could do this video today, and I couldn't, you know, like, you know what I mean? Like I think part of it is like I can feel things now. You know, like you can't feel pleasure if you can't feel pain. Like it's just, it's kind of hard to put into words, but I feel more in control of my emotions because I'm not, don't feel like they're being controlled. I don't know why. I don't know what I'm even talking about, but it's just like there's ups and downs, but it's not, I totally think it's better. Like I totally feel better. Again, it's been 2 months, so you know, sometimes things get worse, and you know, who knows. I'm very, very happy with making this decision. I did have a few other people who asked about like specific symptoms. Somebody said they'd experienced hair loss. I haven't experienced that at all. You know, nothing more than just the regular shedding of the hair that happens. I shed a lot, and that's just my natural way. As far as now, granted, I've only had one menstrual cycle, like official. I have actually technically haven't finished the menstrual cycle. I'm in my first official menstrual cycle. I will say that now I know a lot of people, one of the things I did in my research is people said that, you know, when you go off the pill, the symptoms that you had before, like the pill doesn't fix anything, it just covers up the symptoms. So any symptoms that you had before are gonna come back. I think in a lot of cases that's true. However, the symptoms that I had 20 years ago when I was like, you know, 16, 17, 18, my whole life is different now. Like my whole lifestyle is different now. Like I was, you know, I was an overweight teenager. My diet was horrible. I was under extreme stress, like school and everything was just really, really, like I was bullied in school. Like you know, I had a lot of anxiety and stress that was related to just my school situation and stuff. And again, my diet was horrible because I didn't know anything about, you know, healthy eating and things, and so my digestion was terrible. You know, looking back on it, like I don't even know if what I had was really just menstrual cramps. Like it probably was partly that. But I had like bloating and digestion problems, like horrible, even when it wasn't, you know, that time of the month. So, now in my life, and I still do have issues with bloating and things like that and whatever, but, because my diet, my whole lifestyle has changed, luckily, and I'm hoping it stays this way, I haven't had the same issues. At least I didn't when I actually got my period, my official period this last time. I'm hoping that stays that way. Only time will tell. I will note though that because my body's not used to ovulating, I have been noticing cramping at times, like in between my cycle, that is likely ovulation. And I have read that that's a very common thing, that a lot of women, especially if they're not used to ovulating, can feel cramping when they ovulate. A lot of women, if they've just always been ovulating, they sometimes don't even notice it. But I have noticed, and that's kind of when I'm guessing that I'm ovulating, because it's about the time when I would be that I start noticing. And it's not unbearable. I don't even take anything for it. It's not like I'm just like, what the hell's happening? It's just a little discomfort. And because I'm paying so much attention to my body right now, that I'm noticing things like that. So it's certainly not debilitating. So I hope that answered all of your questions. Those are questions that people had asked me, you know, and I hope that I gave you guys enough information. I hope you guys are still with me, because I really wanted to make this video as informative as possible. I hope it didn't get too boring for you. If you guys have any other questions, if you want me to do a follow-up video or anything, I will try to link some of the resources that I mentioned in the video in the description box below. But yeah, any questions or anything, or if you want to share your stories or share your experiences, you know, read the comments below. And you know, you just never know. I feel like the amazing thing about social media and connecting and talking about this stuff, especially with other women, because I do think, controversial statement, but I do think that women sometimes get overlooked in the medical industry. Women's health can get overlooked. It's one of the reasons why I personally, for the most part, see female doctors. Not to say that that's foolproof at all, but I just sometimes I think it's just easier to like talk to a woman who like at least knows like what you're, like they've had a cycle and so they know, and you know what I mean? Like it's like easier, for me at least. But again, you still need to be an advocate for yourself, and I hope this answers some questions. It's not the here-all end-all. I just want to share my experience and what I've learned. Hopefully it can help you, whether you know, decide to go off the pill now, or whether you're just thinking about it and you're just doing some research, or whether you've done it and your life is turned upside down, or whether it hasn't, or whether you did it and you're wondering if you made the right decision or whatever. Like, I just think that's one of the beautiful things about social media, you know, YouTube, any of the other social medias, is that, you know, as women, we can connect to each other as a community, and, you know, we can share stories with each other. And you know, because if you've been through it, like, I guarantee you somebody else has been through it. Like, if I've been through it, I'm sure that other women are going through the same thing. So, you know, whether you related to a part of my situation or, you know, or not, yeah, I think it's a beautiful thing that we have access to this, where we can all like just share and as a community. And I really hope that you guys found this video helpful, because, yeah, I went through this process for me, and I really hope that my experience with this can help out other people. So thank you guys so much for watching. Again, any questions, comments, video requests, if you want me to do a follow-up video. I have some videos that I'm really excited about filming planned, but if you guys have any other you know, video requests or anything that you came up with when you were watching this video, or you've been watching any of my recent videos, then please let me know. Leave a comment in the comment section below. I love to hear from you. I love your suggestions. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you join me next time.